Hey, yo, what up, what up, what up? Welcome to St. Nouan's field trip. And I just hit record, and I guess we're gonna go on a field trip, you know? Um, just a few thoughts, some things I was thinking. I got a massive Walmart question. If I was to ask you to imagine how many products are in the grocery store or in the superstore Walmart. I mean, like, let's take, for instance, candy bars. Snickers is a candy bar. 100th Avenue is a candy bar. Score is a candy bar. These are different distributions, outlets. How many individual name brands are there in Walmart? And how much of their product does Walmart sell daily to where they get night stock every night and have enough space in a full stock room to stock more product? How is that possible? And where are all these distribution centers? I've never met anyone who worked at like Snickers or any candy bar factory, you know? Are these American companies, or, I mean, are there factories, distribution centers, at least in America? And I'm talking about not just, I'm talking about like even if someone was like a warehouse stocker for like, Fifth Avenue or something like that. And how are all these companies staying in business? Who buys a Fifth Avenue? And it's still relevant and prevalent even in today's time, the Fifth Avenue. I'm not saying it's a bad candy bar. I've never had a Fifth Avenue, I don't think, before, unless I've randomly gotten one. I've tried Score before, SKOR, candy bar, which is pretty good. It's like a toffee with some chocolate. It's pretty good. But I'm just saying different, chips, different coffees, and all of these things come from a centralized distribution center that I suppose carry all of those products also. But at some point, those products will have to come from factories where it's just that product alone shipping to a center. And how many truck drivers do you see in the city? How many trucks are relative to one company as these big companies such as M&M's? Do you ever see an M&M truck? And how many M&Ms sell per year? And how many M&Ms are on the shelf? And how is it that none of that candy gets old until you buy it? Or the shelf life of groceries at your house is not as good as its shelf life in the store. Super technologies and magnetic fields. We have many devices that we ask no questions. Who took the time to invent a screw? With all of its threadings. Something sculpture worthy but very small for use. And how many different types of screws are there? And how many tools? that you could use interchangeably for doing the same thing. Where did this technology come from, and did it come from the same place, considering its similarities to fasten a subject but so many options? Where are all these distribution centers? And even Walmart has a hardware section. Where do they place all that stock that they get every night? And how do they keep all those workers with not many ads? It seems they always have supply. And are human resources slaves, and is there slavery still today that no one wants to talk about? Like, take for instance, the black market. How much inventory can you stock at Walmart, and how much inventory gets sold in a day, to where every night a solidified amount of employees need to work to do stock? Walmart must sell a lot, and each Walmart must sell about as much. How many Walmarts are nearby your house? For me, there is several. And they're all employed. You can apply for a job, but they're not particularly hiring. Many of these places are listed to be for hire or for minors only, in all caps. How silent is the auction? No one seems to notice, but obviously something's wrong. If you focus, I've been talking about it for a while. And mysteriously, it seems that the child with ADD was the only one to notice, and he was the problem in school. That's very interesting, considering the young ladies I see that look like models that I think are trapped in houses, living an interesting life. As predicted, what would go with the decline of the economy? Many more cameras are on the internet. Provocative dances. A battle for attention, and OnlyFans also. I told you before it happened. Praise God. But yet in this country, a recession, the parking lots are full. And so are the restaurants. Even ones that you would think would not have made it this long, like Cracker Barrel. It's a favorite. Parking lot is always full. What time is the meeting? Consider us eating every day around noon. Speaking on politics, eating our breakfast, reading the papers, commonplaces. Not commonly hit for the restaurants until later in the day. Society is awfully interesting. Reconsider what I asked you from the beginning about Walmart. How many single products does Walmart sell? And where do those products come from? Not just the distribution center, but the center where they predominantly make that item. For it all to be organized to hit certain places, a normal system sitting at a bottom line basis of buys and sells to transcend time. Considering the numbers, the clearance and the sales, that the bottom line guarantee is always hit, no matter the economy, to employ all these mysterious employees that you never see around town. Isn't it interesting? If anything, even if you can't speak on the things that I speak upon, claiming it conspiracy when I'm only asking questions, I'm just saying, how does this shit work? Systems and technologies that we're coming up on has already been long ago, evidently. Maybe it was perfected for current day consumption, I assume. But you're leaping from phone to phone like a frog when they have a version 10 years from the one that you're using, and they're going to release the newest one next year, so you'll only have a year to use it. How much interest does that cost? You could get anything that you want in this world. Just put your finger through this loophole, and now I've got you. It's not by how much you have, but how much you owe. Money isn't the object. It's the object that is valueless, that seeks for value and validation from its producer. The rest of us druggies like users for dead presidents. Scratching at the neck, looking for crack, sucking dick. How do these corporations reach that bottom line? This is the last time, but maybe I'm lying, but I'm saying every time. How do these corporations make that bottom line guarantee? And what's a guarantee in this world full of liars? What's up with the leverage? Loan sharks get the pliers. Suppliers and providers are most interesting, even though benevolent. How do they always have a supply and people always needing to use it? How many Q-tips have to be sold worldwide in order for the Q-tip company to stay afloat every year? Considering the price that for $5 to $10 you can get 1,000. How many Q-tips do they sell? Certain products in grocery stores overlooked always sit on the shelf. Nobody ever buys them, but they're always there. The company survives for years and years. How does that happen? You understand? Field trip. Field tripping. All right, check this out. Think about the number of cemeteries in the United States. The number of registered cemeteries in the United States are 20,272 cemeteries. Okay? That's 20,272 cemeteries. Now, how do we have space for all these cemeteries? And even with all these cemeteries, how come cemeteries never grow? And if cemeteries never grow, where do all these bodies get placed? How many people are living in America alone? And how many die daily? How many get cremated on an annual basis? Where do these bodies go? In the United States, there are approximately 2 million people in 1,566 prisons. There's nearly 19 times the amount of people, amount of cemeteries than there are prisons. But the prisons hold nearly 2 million people. Chicken coop. Those prisons hold nearly 2 million people. And how many of those people, if they died instantly, could fit amongst those 20,272 cemeteries? Do you think that all 2 million people would be able to fit in there? Probably not. Meaning that there's more people in the prison system than there are probably graves in the cemetery. Suggestively, out of 20,272 cemeteries. You know what I'm saying? They would have to, each of those cemeteries would have to be really relatively the same size, and our cemetery is the same size relatively. Because if they're not already, something's looking kind of funny. I'm just thinking, feel tripping, sitting here, free of my mind, flipping off a vape, feeling good. Excuse my ignorance. I just ask interesting questions. I ain't trying to get crucified. A nigga ain't Aristotle. How many crimes happen in the cities every night? How many times do you hear the police outside your window? How many crimes are in your city relatively year by year? Get the average down to the day. How many times do you hear cop sirens, and how big is your city, and how often do you hear them? Does it reach the average that you got in your city for that time? And how much is in the newspapers in comparison to what you hear even on social media relations? How much doesn't get reported? How much do people get away with? Is it more than those that are trying to do good? And why am I stressing? Stuck in my house. For what cause is this message? Considering Walmart and the prisons went corporate and made a deal with the corporation Walmart, where every prisoner was sponsored by Walmart also. From their clothes to their utensils. Do you think Walmart could employ all of the prisoners in that prison system with only 1,566 in total? And how many graves are inside those 20,272 cemeteries? Pertaining to space and burial. It would seem that those cemeteries don't grow much at all. It seems that there be more spaces in the cemetery than in the prison, from which one body is buried to the next one. Of course they're going to fight. How much are you paying that security guard? How much is he going to care for that hourly wage? Is he outnumbered? Something to think about, considering numbers. How many single products do you think Walmart sells? And what do you think is the store's bottom line? And how much debt do you think Walmart owes? And is this corporation all umbrellaed? I think they even do funeral stuff. Considering hypotheticals, if cinema had any say in this about clones, do you think it'd be possible that they have their own supply? Considering the money that they cycle is all clean. How many work there but don't work there just to buy things, to return them, to keep money moving? How deep is Sam's pockets? Something to think about. So anyhow, these are just a few things that I wanted to talk about on this field trip. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, was about the corporation Walmart and how many single products do they sell and where's their distribution and where does that distribution divide to separate factories that sell that single product. A beast on the land, a corporation, a superstore. How many deals with one appliance? How many cells? How many ads do you see listed around newspapers and classifieds for jobs, considering this warehouse that always has a supply balance where they only look for 1 or 2 jobs to be filled? Where do they come from? You never see them around town. And could Walmart hire 2 million convicts? Is it possible that they can hire those convicts in the United States? It's quite possible that Walmart may be able to hire a large number of those convicts in the United States, which is more clustered in the 1,566 prisons than individuals in graves in cemeteries, of which there's 20,272 people. There is more people in prison than we have possibly available to be buried in those graves. That's what it seems like to me. Those would have to be phenomenally sized cemeteries. And the cemeteries don't seem to expand. Eventually, someone would need more space. How many people die from suicide a year? How many people die altogether in the United States annually? How many registered cemeteries are there? Registered. How many people are not buried in a registered cemetery or in a cemetery at all? How many people die day by day? And where do they go? And how many are cremated annually? Just to review a few things upon this field trip that I spoke with you, considering corporations. I want to say God is good. God is good. This world I live in is very strange. The people don't seem to make any sense. They still walk around aimlessly as if they can't see. They're spaced out. The crows in the morning that squawk early in the day. Birds migrate late because these seasons are so confusing. In Missouri, it's December. Yesterday was nearly 70. Today was in the 50s. The seasons are even kind of off. August was rainy. No one seems to notice anything interesting where I'm from. How much do they know? Or are they sleepwalking? Is this like the movie Dark Tower? Trapped in this matrix, can't get a job. No assistance. These things are interesting considering how humane humans are, allegedly. Never forget where you're from. Many people rep a street that they bang on. No W-2, nonetheless still an employee. An employee of the system. Making it how they can. Considering the consequences and the population. How many people in the population can be employed at a time, and how many live in your town? And they all have jobs? Consider the places you see. How many individuals work for companies that you never heard of? People come into our lives day by day. In from one place out to the next. Either place that they travel you've never heard of before either. No reason to think or spring up any questions. We just dole along. People coming out of portals, different places, spaces, and time. I walk along. Oddly attracted to come up to a nigga for no reason. Like I got a gravitational pull. There's nothing but savages in this wasteland, in this space and time. I'm like Spike from Cowboy Bebop. Waiting for my exit. Nothing left to beg for. Another pot to piss in. While the richer do seem to get richer, the poor seem to get poorer. But the common masses couldn't be deader. No thought in their mind. Looking alive, but just looking. No attraction or no history or no frequency of commonplaces is this design. Going back to civilizations and masons who also look upon stars, and stars move in cycles. Considering zodiacs, seasons, and time, and the consciousness of a man and his beliefs. Is it traditional like the seasons that we celebrate? And do we really get into the spirit, and is that spirit of Christ exactly? Or are we roaming? Many things would seem so subtle, but it isn't. Obviously, the obvious isn't obvious unless you have secret meaning. People looking at omens and reading tarot cards. Doing magic and burning candles, thinking they connect with the earth, forgetting what they're made of, literally not knowing themselves, casting upon others and themselves things they don't understand, taking a chance. And now this is where we are. A world that's like a computer system. Coming into the game, I remember many different sections, it seems, to program our brain. Our human bodies originally in a stupor, many copies of individuals all dressed in nightgowns, walking down stairs that are light green, and the walls were yellow. Around in a circle all the way down. We just kept going, floor after floor, with no destination, and it went on forever to program our brain motor movement. Different places and things doing redundant things to build the mind and its basic status before entering. And being slightly a little more conscious and thinking, going through individual hell. Dropping into the system, at first they had to strip our mind. We went through a 16-bit field filled with trees. The rows seemed to go on forever. I didn't bother eating, I just wanted to get out and play the game and thinking, there's no way out. Running past hundreds and hundreds of rows, not finding any difference in the trees whatsoever. Eventually, I blipped to the next part. We went through several stages of these things before entering into this game. Alright, so that is just like a field trip, a stream of consciousness. You feel what I'm saying? I'm just freeing my mind and sharing with you what comes down into my mind, things that I remember, and hopefully you enjoyed this field trip. Peace and blessings be with you all. I'm out.